Well, here we are. I don't know why I didn't think about doing a video in the actual room until just now, but tonight is the night that I had that wonderful idea, and it's also the last night to possibly have that kind of idea. We're all kind of winding down and calling it a night and getting ready to get back to our normal lives and our normal routines, and so I figured I'd pop the video on for one last hoorah while I was on vacation, get a last little bit of background that I couldn't get if I were at home, so to speak. And it has been a very good vacation. I'm talking kind of quietly because there's other people in the house. I'm not used to having to be quiet, and I hope that this microphone is really good and sensitive. I have not been able to test it yet because I have never edited anything that I recorded on this camera yet, which is a whole nother adventure. But at any rate, a lot of good, fruitful thinking came out of this vacation, and as I look at going into the new year, I think a lot about what I want out of the new year and what I plan to make of the new year and make of a bigger and better future kind of moving forward there. And I think I convinced myself to write a nonfiction book. I have mostly avoided it pretty avidly for a good long time. And what I was trying to avoid, I think, mostly was like the research that would have to go into a nonfiction book. But like, a book does not have to be a massive research project in order to be nonfiction. Like, I have a lot of strong opinions on things, and my opinions, well, I guess you could make an argument that opinions are fiction, but like, me stating my opinions are not a fiction thing. It's just me saying what I feel is reality and something that I feel like is necessary to share with the world. And so it's just interesting, just general conversations that we've had, and the idea of convenience has always been a huge talking point for me. I feel like a lot of people pay for convenience, or are willing to pay for convenience, or are paying just for convenience and maybe not even realizing that they're doing it. And so the nonfiction book would be kind of exploiting those paywalls and those routes in which we take in order to avoid a lofty time consumption, whereas you could just very easily do it and not spend near as much time on it. I think I'm going to take my glasses off, actually. The reflection on my glasses was distracting. I'm staring at myself through the viewfinder while I watch this, and it's not a terrible angle. It's not exactly what I had in mind either, but it's what I set up here in the moment. But just the idea of the convenience, as I said before, and how much people are willing to spend for convenience, and how much of it they're spending unknowingly so. And just kind of, like I said, exploiting that, bringing that to the forefront, and like excuses as well kind of play into that. I've never been a proprietor of excuses, and I am a firm believer that we as people hold a lot of the power that's necessary in order to control our own lives. And when people refuse, or not even refuse, when people pretend as though they have no control over their lives, it's more or less just an excuse that they use to continue what is convenient to them. Because, like, it is convenient to continue in your current route of suffering, more so than it would be to make a change, because if change was easy, then everyone would do it constantly, and that's just not the reality. And instead of making these changes or doing these things, we lean towards these excuses, and we tell ourselves these things, and we convince ourselves that these things that are out of our power or that we have no control over are the reasons why we can't do or succeed with the things that we want to do or succeed. And like I said before, I've never been a proprietor of these massive excuses. I've always thought that as the person, you have the power to control things, and a lot of it is just not succumbing to the thoughts of the masses. Like, the whole world's telling you right, but if you don't feel like right, then go left. Like, and if you go left and you crash into a wall, then you learned why the whole world was telling you to go right. But if you go left and you find a shortcut to your journey, then now you're one step closer to the rest of the entire world. And so, and that's just a very broad, of course, example, and not really a hardcore example anyway, but it's just those sorts of things. And like I said, we had a lot of good, fruitful life conversations, and I think it's a very nice thing to have as often as you possibly can, is these important life conversations with important people, and being like, okay, how do I need to set my life up, and what do I need to do to succeed in this world? And like, I think my next steps are pretty well set in stone. I'm going to keep writing. I'm not going to stop writing. In fact, I've written on what will become book 7, I think, at this point. I have 4 published works. I intend to publish 2 books next year, and then I'm working on another book. And so, yeah, this would eventually become book 7. Wow. And so that's a goal that's never going to go away, but I need a more practical goal. And that's kind of the interesting observation that I've really been able to make here lately, is like, my brother and I are both independently succeeding in opposite realms, if you will. He's pursuing a more practical course of financial independence, and I am pursuing more the artistic approach of financial independence. Like, I'm leaning on fans and customers to create this independence that I seek, whereas he is providing a good or service that the world needs that will eventually create the financial stability that he needs. And so it's always interesting having conversations and bouncing these ideas off of each other, because it works really well, and it's something that always is constantly a good thing to have. But I don't pretend to be overly familiar with like Asian culture or anything like that. Like, I watch anime and I play like their video games and stuff like that. And so if I'm way off base here, like, call me out, let me know. But like, so like, from the original Pokemon game, you design your character, and then you almost immediately after that design your rival. And I have noticed through like anime and other things that like the idea of having a rival seems prevalent in that culture. And a rival isn't necessarily somebody like a bad person. Like, in American culture, rivals are bad. Like, your rival is basically your enemy. Whereas I feel like in Japanese culture, your rival is more like your character foil, the opposite of you, and the person who is on this earth to challenge you to be better. And so like, in the original Pokemon game, you create your rival, and they usually, I feel like, pick the Pokemon that your Pokemon was weak against. So if you pick like the water, if you pick Charmander as your starter, he's going to pick Squirtle or whatever to try and cancel you out. But like, the realistic goal there is to challenge you, the player, to be better. And like I said, watching anime, I feel like a lot of animes have that as well. And so it's an interesting kind of feature that, like, if you have a rival, not to view them as this person, this enemy that you need to best, but as somebody that you can bounce things off of and become better for it. And with any luck, you can make them better for it as well, as they bounce things off of you and off of your craft. And so it's just interesting that I have that, and I have another artistic, and he's not really a rival, he's just somebody that is also trying to succeed artistically, and we bounce things off of each other constantly. But like, my brother, in this sense, like I said, he's the more traditional rival, and not a bad like rivalry, like, oh, we're at each other's throats, but it's like I said, he's pursuing financial independence through a very practical route, and I'm pursuing it through a very artsy route. He's a very practical person, I'm a very artsy person, and so it's just interesting. And like, we can learn from each other and each other's experiences through the differences in our philosophies. And it's just a fascinating kind of thing to think about. And it helps me to look at success through a different lens. So yeah, the idea is that I would be still trying very hard as I continually make these videos, trying very hard to get content out and to build an audience and to make that my sustainable future. But to the same end, until I get there, I am also going to be working on more practical ways to build wealth, and not necessarily even wealth, just to sustain. Like, it feels a lot better to make your own money than it does to be like dependent upon someone else for your finances, so to speak. And I think COVID really opened my eyes to that, because there was a lot of people losing their jobs for a whole large amount of reasons. And it really kind of opened my eyes. And I was like, okay, if I just one day woke up and they told me they didn't need my services anymore, like, what would I do? How severely would that rock my world? And like, I'm fortunate enough to be in a situation where it wouldn't be like the end of the world if I woke up and lost my job tomorrow. But to the same end, everyone who is going to feel that, unless you have money coming in from some source that is not directly tied to your time or like an employer, you're going to notice when your money dries up. And that was the trigger for me. Is like, okay, like I'd been writing it by that point. Like I published my first book in 2020, and so I had been writing, and I was just like, okay, if ever there was a time or a need to do this more, it would be now, and figure it out and get it figured out so that I can build a better, more comfortable future for myself. And so going into next year, I've got the books on tap that I plan to write. I've got a property that I plan to buy, savings that will continue to be made, and other major strides to try and help better establish myself in the market and on the market. This project being a huge part of that, trying to create and release 365 videos over the course of 2024 is a very lofty task, and with any luck, I can capture some of the popularity that people like Sam Sulek have, or Dwayne from the Dry Creek Wrangler School. I really like their content and use them as a pretty strong source of inspiration, and so hopefully I can sort of emulate some of their work in my own, while still making it my own and unique. And the things that we talk about are different, and that's kind of an interesting thing, because we're all parts of different generations too. Dwayne is my parents' age, and so he's got all of his wisdom that he can talk about. Sam Sulek, I'm pretty sure, is significantly younger than I am. Not significantly, but younger enough to where he's coming at the world from a different angle that I would be. And then I'm kind of caught in the middle. And so it's like I have life experience behind me, but I also have a lot of experience yet to gain and yet to have. And like that kind of stuff is like what I'm looking forward to. And so, yeah, all in all, like I said, super, super fruitful, productive trip. It was a very nice time. It always helps me to clear my mind and to figure out where I am, where I want to be, what I want to be getting out of things, and where I want to be when I get there. And so that always feels very good to be able to have that kind of clarity, both mentally and physically. And always it's good to reset, as I've said before, and it's good to be able to come back to work refreshed and be like, okay, I'm ready to earn a paycheck again. That's the big difference here, is like I am earning my paycheck. I'm not going to work, to get paid, and I'm not going to work expecting for them to pay me. I'm going to work to earn a paycheck. And taking vacations and doing these sorts of things really helps kind of reset my mindset there. But it also helps keep me focused. Like, okay, if this is the kind of life you want to live, like moving forward, then you need to put the time and the effort and the work in to make that possible. And so that really helps kind of keep that clarity going as well. So next year, with any luck, I will make the nonfiction novel about how our society is kind of enslaved to convenience, and then also about how like my refusal for excuses, my refusal for excuses, and how we can kind of tie the two things together and make a better understanding out of it. I don't know what that was, but it was weird. So anyway, so nonfiction book coming. Hopefully buy the property and I can film the build process, continuing with the whole YouTube thing, and hopefully really starting to grow somewhere exciting there. And then from there, going ahead and just keep on banging away at the usual stuff with the writing, the fiction writing, the traditional story-based novels, and all that good stuff, and making 2024 just the best year that it possibly can be. And like I said, it's amazing what can come out of just some basic conversations while on vacation or whatever it is. So it's probably close to 10 o'clock tonight. We're trying to go to bed early and hit the road early and get home at a decent time. Luckily, I don't have to be back to work for a couple of days, so it's not like, oh my gosh, as soon as I get back home, I gotta go back to work. I got several days of wind down time that I will probably dedicate to a lot of video editing, a lot of photo editing, and just editing, and then trying to get things moving. I have been putting off for a very long time now what would be the Jan 1 video, the video to kick off this series, and I think I'm probably going to use this one. It feels right. I finally have like clarity for what 2024 is going to look like for me. I'm going to buy a planner and fill it out every day, and I'm going to have a clear plan for me every day, every week, and try and get some major traction going here in terms of just everything, really. And because it's make it or break it time, as I've said before, because as I age, my priorities change, and the things that I want out of this life also change. And so we'll see what I can get before I hit that third decade, because when I hit that, changes, or my priorities will change, and hopefully by then it won't be such a big deal if my priorities change, because I'll have enough of what I want to be able to proceed in that direction more comfortably. Right now the goal is to have enough rental properties going that when I finally do go down the route of having a child, I can either get a different job where I work from home and make a lot less while the child is in those early years, or I can just stay home entirely and just watch the child until they are of school age, at which point I don't need to worry about daycare or anything. And it's not daycare just because of cost, and I get it, daycare is a very costly thing, but it's daycare because of the fact that, like, the entire formative years of my child's childhood, I feel like most parents aren't really there. Like, you're there, but you're not there, if that makes sense. And so, and I know a lot of first-time parents are weird, and then after your second or third or fourth, it becomes a whole lot less of a thing. But at any rate, that's the goals for me next year. I really want to get back in shape as well, and that's like the classic goal for New Year's always. And I'm really hoping that I was doing really good at the beginning of this year, hitting the gym. I had a good routine going. I was hitting it. I felt like I was doing good stuff, but then work just got stupid and kind of fell off the rails. And so I really want to get back into fitness, get back into making myself look like a way that I'm proud to look, and then continuing with the books and hopefully getting somewhere with the books doing a lot more local events, local promotions, trying to really get my name out there as a local author, because people will eat up local stuff more than they will these international things. Continuing with the whole social media game, that's going to be this 24/365 plan that I have, which is making one video for every day of 2024. And then just various different marketing things, maybe writing a nonfiction book, recording more audiobooks, that whole bit. So it's going to be It's exciting. It's going to be an exciting year next year, and hopefully a successful one as well. I think that's where exciting came from. I was trying to decide if I was going to say successful or if I was going to say exciting, and it came out exciting. So at any rate, a lot of good stuff coming this year. Welcome aboard if you're new. And we're gonna just rock it down, and we're gonna keep on keeping on, and we're gonna move towards bigger and better things. Before I sign off for tonight, I wanted to let you all know that I am leaving a copy of Dusty Little Wastelanders in our condo place that we're staying in. I'm leaving it in the nightstand. This has been like a new kind of marketing strategy of mine, where we'll go on vacation and I will bring a copy of one of my books, and I will conveniently leave it or forget it in the place we go on vacation. It's especially effective if the place has a bookshelf, and I will just leave it on a bookshelf and be like, hey, one of these days someone might pick this up and read it and really like it and want to read more of my work. And it's just the little things. But like now, one of my books exists in Florida, and who knows what's going to happen to it from there. But exciting stuff coming up. Exciting new year that we're looking at here. New camera, new equipment, a lot of new stuff, a lot of good content that I'm hoping that you guys can get some good value out of and watch it and enjoy it, just like I watch other people's content and enjoy other people's content. So thank you for stopping by, and we're going to keep this going until we can't or don't need to anymore. Bye.